We're back with Senator Tim Keller, and we're touched on a few things there: economy, immigration. We'll get back into the immigration because it is important to a lot of constituents here all over the state, and I'm sure you have quite a bit of a constituency there care a lot about that issue. Nationally, I hope they can get it done. Locally, I know there is, in your district where you live, there is a district where I think they changed the name and then it went into international district. Talk a little bit about that. There's a vast amount of immigrants that live in that area. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that and we'll get into some of the other issues there.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, for me, it's been an amazing privilege to represent this wonderful area of our state, and it's very unique. We have 27 languages spoken in the International District in Albuquerque, and we've got basically the UN Refugee Settlement Program. Mm-hmm. For now 4 decades has been relocating different groups from all around the world to this neighborhood. It started with Vietnam, went to Cuba, lots of Central American refugees, and now African refugees, and even some from the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And so we have a true melting pot in my district, in District 17. And you know, for us, the most important thing that we've found is one, to celebrate our diversity and champion it. And part of that is setting up a community where folks are accepted and feel safe being there, and also want to be part of the community. So we need folks participating in the political process. We need them participating in law enforcement even. And so that's why in my community it can be very difficult when there are immigration, either bills or proposals or rhetoric. It's amazing what happens. People stop going to my town halls. People stop calling the police when they see something happen. Mm. And that's the quick path to an area where that community was in say, the 80s and 90s. And we've really come a long way since then. And we want to keep improving, and a real part of it is embracing our diversity and our culture, and it's something that I've been proud to champion every year in the state legislature. And
you're doing a great job. Because we hear good things about what you guys are doing. I mean, the whole we did that San Mateo all the way to Eubank, that international district, very important for your district. You recently announced, we're going to change gears again. You announced you're running for state auditor. Tell us how that decision came about and why you felt that was the right office for you to run for.
Sure. Well, for several years, actually, I've been working on a lot of government reform legislation. The State Investment Council, the Finance Authority, and the PRC. Those were all bills that I've sponsored, and a lot of them have passed, thankfully, and hopefully helped our state. And when I look at that, and also tax policy and other policy evaluation, I'm lucky enough to get basically a month a year to work on some of these problems in our state. And I think the auditor's office, and this is something that sort of came up to me about a year ago, really has the potential to work on these issues year-round in a way that I think will be much more effective than a single legislator, part-time up in Santa Fe. So I view it as a natural extension of a lot of the work that I've been doing. And
you have a background in business, so the accounting part, I think you probably feel it at home there.
I do. I have fortunate enough to have an MBA and a finance degree, and so I've always enjoyed the numbers, if you will, and looking at that. But it's interesting. I also believe in going after policy with respect to things like cost-benefit analysis and return on investment. And so, in the auditor's office, what I'd like to do is also build on the tracking fraud, waste, and accountability, which Auditor Balderas has done a great job of. But I want to kind of go a little step further and also evaluate policies and say, hey, this policy is a good use of taxpayer money. Or you know what, this particular education policy isn't. Or this economic development plan actually has a really high return on investment. And then champion legislation that those reports sort of support in the legislature. And so I think I can be very helpful sort of also looking at policies from healthcare to education to tax in that office and hopefully make government work better. That's really my goal running for auditor, is to have a state government that we can be a little bit more proud of.
It's personally, when I look at the state auditor's office, it looks rather small. Am I right? 32 employees, you have 3 different divisions there. I think the largest is their special investigation, where it's about, I believe, 17 employees. What struck me was that even though it's an independent office, there is really no way. I mean, I know it doesn't have the prosecutorial powers there, because it's supposed to simply analyze it and see if if there's any wrongdoing there. So you know, fiscal accountability. They're dealing with things like that and making sure the books are right and everything. Do you feel that it should have some prosecutorial powers there, as far as going after someone who is doing something wrong, or that should be left to, say, the DA's office or the Attorney General's office?
You know, I think it's okay to leave it to, you know, the,
it shouldn't
the
be
law
meshed
enforcement
in there,
side.
because it's pretty big enough, I think.
I think what is helpful, especially in that investigative area, is to basically say, look, the auditor can issue opinions based on the investigation and research. And in that alone, whether it's through sort of the fourth branch of government, the media, or it's, you know, requesting action to be taken by either the state police or the AG, something like that, I think those are natural connections in state government to sort of work together. But the other area that I think is important is to actually also have a lot of the advocacy groups work with the auditor's office in terms of information. So in other words, if we keep this sort of policy hat on and we say, well, how are we going to build infrastructure in our state? Well, the role of the New Mexico Finance Authority is to do that. And so we've got to look at, you know, how are we using those dollars best, and how are they getting deployed? Well, to do that, we're going to have to talk to folks in the construction industry. We're going to have to talk to folks at the Department of Transportation. You know, and so that kind of nature actually expands the office through partnership, I think, to much broader capabilities. And, you know, to be honest, also from my standpoint, trying to make change in our state, you know, an office of 30 employees is literally 29 more than we've got in the state legislature. So I'm excited with what I can do with it.
So a lot of accounting there, and your business background, I think you're perfect for that. You know, we look at all the figures, and then we realize that there are some wrongdoings every now and then. People do call in; they have a hotline there, I think, so individuals can call in. I think it's a great office for your background. I think we wish you the best, and hopefully you come back. We're almost out of time there, but you come back as state auditor, if that's, you know, you.
Sounds good. We'll see on maybe before the next session or on the campaign trail.
Yes, absolutely, and we'd love to have you back. And you know, we're almost out of time there. So, you know, if there's anything you want to add in the last 15 seconds there, go ahead. And if you want, I think pretty much we covered everything you wanted to cover, I think, right?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me on the show, and I want to thank the viewers for listening and supporting, you know, this type of programming. And, you know, other than that, I think that I would just ask everyone to pay attention to all the races that are on the ballot, whether it's city council or state auditor or a governor. That's really our chance in a democracy to have our say. And so remember that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in. That was it. We're out of time. Senator Tim Keller, he's a candidate for state auditor this fall. And we'll see you next time.